Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Le Castellet. The south of France beckons us with race 2 here at the Paul Ricard circuit. Great to be back here as well after what has been a stellar weekend of racing and weather to boot as well. 30 minutes plus 1 lap ahead of us around this 5.822 kilometre circuit. Air temperature sits at 29, quite sensible in comparison to where we've had it before. 51 degree though, track temperature. You know, certainly heat that you can fry an egg on this circuit, but nevertheless, these drivers will be going helter-skelter around this time. Certainly Andrea Kimi Antonelli coming off the back of a successful qualifying session, going fastest in Group B. And not only that, being the fastest driver on track despite his group being the first out on circuit as well. Not necessarily benefiting of any additional heat. He'll certainly, though, be delighted with his performance, and certainly was so when we interviewed him, when we spoke to him in the prior post-qualifying interview earlier on today. There is the Italian, fresh off the back of claiming a home race win at Mugello last time out when we went racing there in Italy. Esteban Masson, though, the feel-good factor in his home race at France. Of course, a former champion as well in F4, certainly French F4, that being said. And coming up alongside that, Andrea Kimi Antonelli in a historic performance for the Santalok Racing team. Cas Havercourt as well, third on the grid. Watch out for the prosaic Dutchman. He's going to be looking to try and garner a few places right from the get-go. Is a very safe pair of hands behind the wheel for Van Amersfoort, and has collected an abundance of points in his career with the team. Tim Tramnitz on the second row as well. Wanted a little bit more from his weekend and could still yet achieve that. Obviously starting on the second row, we'll look to try and get a really, really good start down through towards turn 1. He's got Alessandro Giusti, the hero, the hometown hero, who won yesterday after getting pole position for race 1. He's going to look to try and achieve some big results here in race 2 as well, fully focused and primed on the job in hand. He's also got Martini Stenshorn in behind Giusti, leading the rookie classification in this race too, with Stenshorn lodged also in 6th place. Of course, leading this rookie championship and the overall championship coming into the weekend. And the fans here alike enjoying a stellar weekend of racing as well. Of course, many of them familiar with names such as Andrea Kimi Antonelli, a champion in Italian F4 and ADAC F4 as well. And since then, racing in this series and claiming race wins of his own, performing well in the Formula Regional Middle East, claiming race wins there. Of course, being its champion as well, off the back of that stellar run. As we now hear the horns, obviously the track and the grid getting ready for the start of this race. A very, very busy grid, as we have quite a number of cars taking part this weekend. Several teams looking to try and advance their charge, the likes of RPM Motorsport as well, who are going to be looking to achieve big this time around. Owen Tangavellu in the car, as well as many others. Santiago Ramos qualifying 7th in amongst this entire field. He's got Rafael Camara for company alongside him. Maya Verk as well, who's looking to recover from that fire extinguisher issue back in Mugello that caused her to go into the gravel champ. She's done so brilliantly. She had a great race 1, scoring points, and now once again in the top 10 as she looks to try and fight for more. Lawrence Van Hoopen as well in the midst of all this. But here's the starting grid. Andrea Kimi Antonelli on pole position, alongside him on the front row. Esteban Masson fastest in Group A. Cas Havercourt in 3rd with Tim Tramnitz in 4th. Alessandro Giusti looking to go ahead and try and claim yet another stellar result in 5th. Martini Stenshorn championship leader in 6th as well. P7, well, that went to Santiago Ramos for RPM, alongside him Rafael Camara for Prema as well. Lawrence Van Hoopen for ART in 9th with Maya Verk in 10th. Joshua Dirksen in 11th for Arden. Owen Tangavellu in 12th for Trident. 13th place, well, that went to Lorenzo Fluchet as part of the Prema team as well. He's then joined by Maceo Capietto for RPM, Michael Belov in 15th, Victor Bernier representing for MP Motorsport, who make their return this weekend, Sami Megatunif in 17th, Roman Belinsky in 18th too. And that rounds off that particular row of the grid for Trident as well. Marcus Amand in 19th with Nikhil Bora also representing for Trident. Tom Leben in 21st. Joshua Duvek as well for Van Amersfoort. Matthias Zagazeta for R-Race GP with Charlie Wirtz in 24th. 25th, we go to Carril Small with Lucas Medina, also representing Santalok Racing, the Colombian, ahead of Emerson Fittipaldi Jr., his teammate. Giovanni Maschio as well in the Monolite Racing car. Arden then in behind too. Ivan Klemenko on the back end of the rows as well, coming in, stepping in for Kick Motorsport. Niels Coulin in 32nd place, and Enzo Scianti at the back of the field. And of course, coming into this race, we have had a couple of penalties, of course, impact the qualifying places for race 2, and these carrying over from race 1. Emerson Fittipaldi was reprimanded as well for the collision with Charlie Wirtz in the first race. Enzo Scianti given a 5-place grid penalty for the collision on Niels Coulin as well, which led to Coulin being out of the race. And now the car's getting ready to head out on the formation lap as we sit tight and get ready to kick-start the final race of this weekend in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. Stewards wave the green flags, and it'll be down to Andrea Kimi Antonelli to get them underway and head down through towards turn 1. Plenty on offer here this weekend in terms of points. RSGP coming into their home race as well. Championship leaders in the Teams Championship, 283 to their name. 9 points coming into the weekend as well, with Prema Racing in behind them, locked in behind, with Van Amersfoort Racing in 3rd in the championship. RPM 4th. Of course, in the Drivers' Championship, Martini Stenchon, as we alluded to, was only a mere 2 points ahead of Andrea Kimi Antonelli. That could all change after this weekend, with Tim Tramnitz as well in 3rd. RSGP representing really strongly in the Drivers' Championship, with Rafael Camara further back. With Lorenzo Flusha as part of Prema, the outfit that are very strong, as always, here in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. But incidentally, this could be a chance for Esteban Masson from the front row of the grid, and that of the Santalok Racing team. We've entered this here this weekend. This, of course, being the first time that we've seen Masson essentially grab the ball by the horns. Was fastest, and we did allude to that in collective test 2 in qualifying this morning, going faster than Sami Megatunev and Kaz Havercourt in that collective test 2. And now since coming back and going fastest in his group to then go to the front row, and he'll look to rise again and perhaps even challenge Andrea Kimi Antonelli in towards turn 1. Incidentally, talking about Lawrence Van Hoopen, who qualified 9th fastest, does have Nick de Vries in his corner. He, of course, being here this weekend, giving his words of expertise, giving some insight into that young man. A fantastic racing driver who's recently featured in Formula 1 and once raced in the earlier realms of this championship back in the day, featuring for ART as well. And now here with us in the paddock once again. It's now Maya Berg, makes her way around in 10th place, 3rd in the rookie classifications. Looking to rise again, as she has done so. Very, very talented young woman as part of the Ferrari Driver Academy, picking up 10 points at Spa in race 2, 6 points in race 1 on that occasion. Since then, claiming 2 points at Mugello in race 1, unfortunately coming unstuck in race 2, but still back again, scoring reasonably well in race 1 here too as well, just getting herself into the top 10. Points mean prizes, and that's exactly what Maya Berg is looking for here at this point. So the cars come through now. The final stages of this lap, the formation lap, will come to an end. They will form up onto the grid as they were prior to the start of the formation lap itself. As we see Lorenzo Flusha in behind that of Owen Tangavelu. The group at Trident, who are also looking for big results this weekend, will look to try and harness that here in race 2. Of course, historically, it's been a great track for Prema in the past. They're more successful years, though, coming in 2019 and 2020, where the championship, as we know it, was formed, of course. Frederick Vesti taking 2 race wins with Enzo Fittipaldi back in 2019. Arthur Leclerc and Gianluca Petikov doing exactly the same thing for another Prema clean sweep in 2020, when we had 3 races in the championship. Now, since changing to 2, the only other Prema race winner being that of Paul Aaron back last season, who has now since found himself in Formula 3, where many of these drivers will certainly look to try and garner them themselves. Tim Tramnitz here, winning last year along with his teammate Roman Belinsky that year, because they both were Trident teammates in 2022. Tim Tramnitz taking the rookie race win in race 1, and Roman Belinsky taking the race 2 rookie win as well. But it's all down to this now, as the engines will get revving, the spectators watching on. Looking forward to seeing the action as the lights now go red. 3 lights, 4 lights, and the 5th light. And it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. And Kaz Havercourt, I think, had a slow launch. In fact, very nearly stalled, and he's not the only one either. It looks like a Prema has lost a lot of time as well, dropping back through the field. Andrea Kimi Antonelli, though, leads the way here at Paul Ricard, holds on to it after retrieving pole earlier on this morning. We've got fighting further down as well, another Prema running out wide as they look to garner some places further back. Esteban Masson shutting off the attack here almost instantly as Tim Tramnitz moves up into 3rd place. Martini Stenchorn as well, looking to try and charge and move his way through the field as he looked to try and go down the inside there of Tim Tramnitz for that 3rd place. Immediately pouncing on every opportunity. There's an MP Motorsport car running out wide as well. I think further back that might have been Victor Bernier getting tied up there too. Well, Sami Megatune for part of this frame. We got a few cars there dropping back, heading down the Mistral straight, an RPM car. That could be Matteo Capietto looking to make moves on Meyer Werk further back, as we can now see. Oh, look at that. That is, in fact, I think a G4 racing car getting in the mix of all this, as now they cruise through the chicane at the middle of the Mistral straight. The Sansalot car as well, number 33, also getting tied up in this mix. As they now head down in towards the latter stages, that being Lucas Medina, who was caught up there as well. Meyer Werk, who has still got Capietto all over her rear there, trying to make a charge through the section at turn 10. Very, very fast pace as well. We got an Arden, or is it an Arden? That's Matthias Zagazeta going down the inside, taking a very aggressive line, heading through the Bousset. And I think might have achieved big as well in that case, managing, I think, to clamber upon 2 other cars in that fray. Esteban Masson, though, a stellar start himself, while he did not manage to get past that of Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who had a blistering getaway. He was able to harness the P2 spot and keep Tim Tramnitz from unlocking the door on him as well. As we now see more battles further down, Meyer Werk, of course, representing that of the Kick Motorsport team. 2 cars running off wide on the outset of turn 15 as well, and I think it might have been Meyer Werk in the middle of that. No, it wasn't. No, she's still ahead of Matteo Capietto. As now we see more squabbling. Michael Belov getting in the mix of all this too. The car number 30 as they makes its way through turns 1 and 2. Roman Belinsky as well looking to charge as well. He's moved up to 13th place, having a great start as they now peel on down through towards the early sectors yet again. Still, as they now and try to form up in an orderly fashion. A big launch there indeed from Marcus Amand now. Heads through the next right-hander, charging on Roman Belinsky as they tie up, heading through now in towards turn 7 they go. And the Sauber Academy driver going toe-to-toe with Roman Belinsky, heading down the straight, heading towards the chicane in the middle of this long stretch too. Plenty of cars now mixing it up. It looks like it is an MP Motorsport car as well getting in the mix of all this. It's a 3-car scramble. Belinsky now, as he now looks to try and brave it around the outside. Amand manages to succeed in holding the position as we now see the MP car now work its way through as well as Victor Bernier, who is trying to launch forwards. He might have got himself there, past there of Marcus Amand coming in towards turn 10. And, oh, dearie me, Levente Ravesh into the pits. And looks like he might be having a few problems. But nonetheless, we'll wait and see whether he comes back out onto the circuit. But Andrea Kimi Antonelli unperturbed at the top. Esteban Masson 7/10 in behind. Tim Tramnitz 8th place, 6/10 away. Martini Stenchorn, Belinsky still trying to keep Victor Bernier at bay as well, as they now look to ride their way through the final sector. Of course, Bernier marking his return with MP Motorsport, as the entire team have. Matthias Zagazeta as well, who's been trying to be fighting back. He has had, to his own admission, a disappointing weekend and has been trying to really upturn his fortunes in this championship. And yeah, a good result here would certainly mean the world to him now as they make their way down towards turn 1. 25 minutes and 40 still to go, plus the extra lap, as they now head through towards turn 2. You've got turn 3 and 4 coming up next, as they make their way through the hotel section now. There you can see Esteban Masson there in P2, still within 0.8 of a second of Andrea Kimi Antonelli as the cars attack that particular portion of circuit, heading through turns 5 and 6. And now out towards turn 7, Alessandro Giusti, who's ahead of Lawrence Van Hoopen. Van Hoopen, who moved up from 9th to 8th place. And ahead of Owen Tangavellu, Maya Verk holding on to 10th as well. There is Marcus Amand, just behind Michael Belov, and ahead of Roman Belinsky. Leading rookie still is Martinius Stenshorn, so holding on to that 4th spot as well. Masson in 2nd. The fastest first sector delivered by Andrea Kimi Antonelli, and there are 2 cars off the track, and that is car number 28. And that's a disappointing one as well. Certainly doesn't help them one iota at this very sensitive part of the weekend. I think that might have been Pierre-Alexandre Prevost as well for G4. I think he might have come off, I'm not quite sure. We will get news on that, folks, as time goes on. Ravesh still at the back, and indeed I think Prevost might have come unstuck. Klemenko as well down in 31st place. I think it was him who went off as well, standing in this weekend for Alexander Partyshev, who was retired from racing. So Ivan Klemenko, by the looks of it, coming a cropper at the tail end of the field with Provost as well. Of course, both making their debuts this weekend as well. There's a lot of flirting around here, heading through the final corner and going wide, Alessandro Giusti. And now, as a result, that allows Lawrence Van Hoopen to move up ahead of him as well for 7th place. A great overtake, but Giusti's not going to take that line down. Looks to the outside line, heading in towards turn 1. And the drone cam showing us this picturesque view as the 2 cars go side by side, but still, it's Van Hoopen who holds on to 7th place. And now as the time ticks into the 23 minutes and 30 seconds, they've got a queue of cars in behind. Joining them up at the sharp end, Owen Tangavellu and Maya Verk as well, who's looking to try and garner any advantage possible. The gap lengthening now in between that of P's 10 and 11. Capietto now a second back from the driver in the Kick Motorsport car as part of the Ferrari Driver Academy, heading through turn 7. And out down the Mistral straight out of southbound bends, and then they've got the trip through the Seine corner. It's still, though, Antonelli out in front, Masson in 2nd. There is Tim Tramnitz, Stenshorn, RHGP 3 and 4. A stellar run as well from Santiago Ramos up to 5th place. And Joshua Dirksen, once again in the top 6, scored his first podium this season back at Spa as well, as we're now seeing Charlie Wirtz come into the fight as well. I think managing to flex his muscles, heading through and attacking that of Kaz Havercourt. In fact, no, I think he's coming unstuck here, because further back you can see Rafael Kamara around the outside here. Kamara moves ahead of him here, heading in towards turn 10. A fantastic move from Kamara, and getting the move done in great style as well. Zagazzetta up to P20. Really starting to try and make some moves as well. There's Antonelli leading them through now the final sector on this lap. 3 laps accrued already. The next one will be their 4th. Masson in 2nd. Tramnitz now a second back from Masson, and will come under pressure now from Stenshorn, as we can now see Michael Belov trying to charge, and that is Ivan Klemenko's car as well in the pits. And that looks very ominous indeed. Already a lap down as well is Provost. Klemenko is surely going to join him as well, as we get a stunning shot here of the cars now sending it in towards turn 1. Still nose to tail between them all here. Antonelli advancing his gap now by a whole second ahead of Esteban Masson. What's a stellar performer here, Andrea Kimi Antonelli. We talk about him time and time again, about his achievements here in motorsport. Italian born and bred as well, fan of Kimi Räikkönen, hence why he has the middle name Kimi. Utilises certainly that, and has every quality in his locker to certainly be a future star. Even though he is a star right now, makes his way in towards the chicane, and great to see as well, just looking out my commentary box window, it looks like that they've managed to get Ivan Klemenko's car back underway again, and he will rejoin this race as well. But at the sharp end, it's still Antonelli. 20 minutes and 30 to go. Masson in behind. There you can see Tramnitz in 3rd with Stenshorn. Got Ramos and Dirksen in behind those two, with Van Hoopen, who's up to 7th ahead of Giusti as well. The gaps now, it's very fine margins between Maya Virk and Owen Tangavelu. That battle between the Kick Motorsport car and that of the Trident. And that's in the battle in the lower top 10 places. As Antonelli now coasts through the S sections through turns 12 and 13, coming through Garlaban Bend and now Delatour. And then stretches through towards Virage du Pont with Masson closing up on the rear. Of course, they've got the execution of push-to-pass available to them over 4,000 RPM. That's got to be utilised. A Trident car going wide. That looks like it might have been Tangavelu, who's been pressurised by Maya Virk now for quite some time. This might be an opportunity for Virk now to perhaps maybe even take an opportunity. Though slightly too far back to make the move into turn 1. But we are seeing some moves nevertheless, though, between that of Marcus Amand and that of Roman Belinsky as well. I think, no, it's in fact, I think looking on my timing screen, that's Owen Tangavelu, Maya Virk, indeed looking further up. That is number 30, long into Michael Belov. Getting past Marcus Amand there in the initial. Fantastic work. Belinsky just in behind that of the car belonging to that of Marcus Amand. Trying to build some momentum in order to try and attack the top end. And there you can see number 7 of Lorenzo Flusha heading into the middle chicane in the Mistral Straight. Prime overtaking spot to utilise the push-to-pass system, as well as the home straight as well, where the speed trap exists. And Antonelli still leading the charge. The 0.8 of a second gap now back out to a second. As 5 laps are completed as they work their way through the helter-skelter turn 10, through Scene Corner, and then taking a trip through the Bousset at turn 11. Bendor coming up after that at turn 12 as well. There you can see the cars are once again coming together, this time Tramnitz and Stenshorn, the two teammates. We saw Stenshorn having a look up the inside in the initial lap, trying to gain a place almost instantly. Of course, many of the drivers favouring that early start, but sometimes then will utilise the push-to-pass late on in order to unleash certain attacks. Maya Virk 2/10 away from Owen Tangavelu in 9th place. The gap's very small as well between Flusha and Nikhil Bora. That's a battle for 15-2 with Victor Bernier starting to close on Kaz Havercourt, who's had a really difficult race so far. Just seems that the issue at the start really has cost him a lot of momentum. And dropping down the order, Maya Virk, incidentally, passed Owen Tangavelu for that 9th spot and is now chasing Alessandro Giusti. As we see a fastest lap now for Andrea Kimi Antonelli, a 2:01.111. Fastest first sector, as well as a personal best in Sector 3. As Masson now heads through the next right, heading through the tricky sections at Ducamp, as well as Saint-Baume now. There you can see him behind Tramnitz. Stenshorn, 0.6 of a second in behind. Santiago Ramos in 5th place still, 1.1 seconds separating them. Santalok still on for a stellar showing in this race, especially having Masson at their disposal, 1.1 in behind. And important points as far as they're concerned in the complexion of this championship, especially with it being their first season in this series. And Tramnitz and Stenshorn looking to advance the RSGP cause. They certainly will do that, having 2 cars where they are positioned, despite Antonelli being at the front end. Of course, this result doing wonders for Antonelli's cause in terms of the overall championship. We're getting very close in nip and tuck as well. Further up, as now we're seeing Lawrence Van Hoopen with Alessandro Giusti starting to pepper the rear. The G4 racing car now looking to try and get past the ART of Lawrence Van Hoopen. I alluded to the fact that Nick de Vries has been here in the corner of Lawrence Van Hoopen. 7/10 away from Dirksen at this point, with 3/10 behind Alessandro Giusti. Maya Virk as well, 1.9 seconds in behind those, with Tangavelu 7/10 behind her in 10th spot as well. Giusti now looking to take a wide angle as he looks to try and send the car down through towards turn 1. You can see Van Hoopen's rear wing dead ahead of him here. And since Giusti has been working hard with the team, you know, end of the day, having a talent such as he is, of course, a very reliable competitor and a French F4 champion with 2 wins and 12 podiums, as I alluded to back in 2022. Winning race 1 yesterday, and following it up with a very steady qualifying performance this morning, and now a very decent race visit too, as now we see Stenshall make his way through this next straight, still chasing after Tramnitz. Down another straight they go. RPM in behind with Santiago Ramos, who is an excellent qualifier for the team, and has been a big part of their push up the rankings in terms of the team's championship. RPM themselves representing 4th in the championship coming into the weekend, and that could yet all change as the weekend goes on. Of course, the gap between RPM and Van Amersfoort is looking around about the 33-point mark, as then we have a car going off wide, and that is car number 47. And that is a Trident car that's unfortunately having an issue of its own, and that being Nikhil Bora, who's gone off the circuit there, just off the line. And certainly a Prema car off too, a G4 racing car. We just missed the instant, whatever that was. And that, I believe, is Lorenzo Flusha, who's unfortunately seen his race, at least at this point, coming to an end. They are wheeling the car back, but Lorenzo Flusha having an off. And unfortunately, that crippling his race at this point as well. We have more fights happening out on track. Lawrence Van Hoopen and Joshua Dirksen coming through. Oh, Lawrence Van Hoopen down the inside, left it late. A huge launch, and it's amazing how they didn't make contact, but bravery, without a doubt, they're showing on the face of Lawrence Van Hoopen. And now Joshua Dirksen, who is now going to look to try and challenge back, utilising perhaps the push to pass. Giusti looking for it too. Oh, they make contact, but they rescue it well. They come together, heading in towards turn 1. Giusti in behind, watching this unfold, as certainly it is Joshua Dirksen who has to escape off the track, and now as a result, Giusti now battles through. He takes the pair of them here with 13 minutes to go, and Alessandro Giusti moves his way up into 6th place, as now Joshua Dirksen, who seems to have some problems here, perhaps an issue with the suspension, is now fighting the car, as now Maya Berg tries to garner a position of her own. An incredible moment here on this lap. Amazing how they both managed to make their way through and certainly stay on the circuit. Brilliant display of driving ability. Obviously, amazing how they came to blows in the first place as well, heading down that long straight. But Joshua Dirksen and Lawrence Van Hoopen very nearly coming unstuck. This is the replay. The late move down the inside from Lawrence Van Hoopen. Some might call it overzealous, but it was brilliant, and it worked out sensationally. He had the lead advantage. And we have a moment here as well. Advanced bit of defending here as Maya Verk tried to hold back the tirade set in place by Joshua Dirksen, as now we see certainly Maya Verk doing her utmost here. She's been given an opportunity to essentially rise up through the top 10 even further. P7 now out on circuit, now reduced to P8, of course, with Dirksen now jumping ahead of her back up again. But this is far from over here now with 11 minutes and 50 to go. And keep your eyes peeled as well, as Lawrence Van Hoopen, who will surely want to try and recover in his own right as well. There we can see the RPM cars as well getting in the mix. There as well, Michael Belov, who is challenging. That's a Matteo Capietto. Kaz Havercourt as well in the midst of all this scrapping too. Matteo Capietto now with Michael Belov hot on his tail, who might choose to utilise the push to pass this time around. Opens up the door, Kaz Havercourt as well looking for a move this time on Roman Belinsky. In towards turn 1, Havercourt now moves up further, now up into 13th place, as we now look and see the car number 85 belonging to Capietto now still being hunted upon by Michael Belov. What a stellar previous 2 laps we've had. It's got very close in that midfield into the top 10. And Maya Berg now 5/10 away from Joshua Dirksen yet again, as we now see the cars make their way through. This, of course, being Rafael Camara challenging Victor Bernier, 2/10 away. And oh, dearie me, that looks ominous right there. The car number 18 from the ART camp, Lawrence Van Hoopen. They've brought it into the garage. Is it going to be a retirement? There was contact heading down the straight between himself and that of Joshua Dirksen in towards turn 1. And that might bring an end to the ART Drivers race weekend here at Paul Ricard. Andrea Kimi Antonelli, though, unperturbed up at the front. 9 laps completed, and he still holds the lead. 1.7 now ahead of Esteban Masson. And on this lap alone, registering 33 ones in the first sector, 37 twos in the middle sector. A 2:01.006 in the last lap, as well, as he looks to try and build his advantage. Was readily over 2/10 faster than Masson on the previous lap. But the Sansalot Racing driver having a stellar day in what could be a major podium finale here, and it will be Masson's first podium of the season as well. And to that of the Santalok team that have worked so hard to produce cars here, with a lineup such as Emerson Fittipaldi Jr., Lucas Medina, and Esteban Masson to bring a podium here to the table at France of all places would be magical, but they've still got to contend with Tim Tramnitz, who's 9/10 behind within a second and is still able to challenge here with plenty of time still remaining. In behind, they've also got Martini Estenschel to worry about. He's only a second in behind that of Tramnitz, with Santiago Ramos a little further back. Again, more vital points coming towards the RPM team. Ran by, of course, Keith Donegan, who raced in the series last season, and team owner of the Irish outfit. Familiar green livery at the helm as they make their way down the Mistral straight yet again. 8 minutes and 50 to go, and it's Antonelli out on top. Masson now, the gap being stretched to nearly 2 seconds as Antonelli now starts to put the squeeze on here. But the gap's now very tight, with Marcus Amann and Kaz Havercourt. Again, Havercourt doing well to try and challenge and move himself up. He's holding on to 12th place on our timing screen as we can see it. Rafael Kamara in 14th place, not having an idyllic weekend, to say the least. As they now round the turn 10 corner through Scene. Maya Verk still there in 8th, half a second now separating her and Joshua Dirksen. Of course, they were fighting for places earlier on, Dirksen fighting back against her as she made that overtake, but certainly big points on the table for everyone in the top 10. Every point counts in terms of the championship. And Maya Verk, who's already notched together some stellar performances here in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, might look to add yet greater accolades to her name, with Owen Tangavelu now chasing in 9th spot, with Capietto as well in 10th. Fastest lap now going to Alessandro Giusti as he looks to push, and that's a 2-second flat. And nearly 3/4 of a 10th faster than Andrea Kimi Antonelli as well. As Giusti breaks to within a second of Santiago Ramos as well. Car number 10 belonging to Joshua Dirksen, trying to retain the placement in P7. Plenty of them, though, will be in jeopardy as now cars start to think about making moves, utilising the push to pass once again. There you can see Kaz Havercourt and Michael Belov cemented together, further up Matteo Capietto. Sure, tied up very wide, though, indeed, from Michael Belov, and that will open the door for Kaz Havercourt. This is an opportunity he loves to plumb for as he now makes his way down to the chicane. Charlie Wirtz as well. Oh, that's a replay. Charlie Wirtz making contact, it looked like, with another Sansalot car heading around the next left-hander. As we now look and see the battle now as Kaz Havercourt now jumps ahead of Michael Belov. A very, very good move indeed from him. And executing when he needed it most as well. He's 1 place away from the top 10 places to score points. As we now look and see an MP Motorsport car taking a wide line in towards turn 10 as it looks to challenge Marcus Amann. That's Victor Bernier as well as Roman Belinsky. Belinsky still retaining that placement as well. Bernier being forced to stay in behind as well, with others there as well. In fact, Sami Megatunif, I think, part of that contingent too, so I think he might have been leapfrogged by that of Marcus Amann and Roman Belinsky, with only Matthias Agazetta for company now, and certainly it looks like Megatunif is coming under some serious pressure from his own teammate Victor Bernier as they now head through the final sector. There is Kaz Havercourt, recovering after that earlier difficulty he had at the start of the race. Remember, he started on the second row of the grid. He's got Capietto with him now. and this will be a battle for points here. One solitary point on offer as Kaz Havercourt goes hunting for it as they make their way down through towards turn 1. 5 minutes and 20 still to go. Havercourt now looks. Cappietto goes defensive. Havercourt looks down the inside into turn 1. Defensive from the RPM car. Mean Green fighting machine and keeps Havercourt down as they make their way through the first sector. They have now got turns 3 and 4. They've got now certainly an opportunity to the outside. Havercourt now goes on the attack. Rafael Kamara doing the same too as they now peel on through. Michael Belov under severe jeopardy. Defensive again from none other than that of Cappietto, who still retains his placement here. Havercourt hovering all over the rear, trying to find every which way to make that overtake for that solitary point here in this race. Kamara might yet still be a threat for that very point itself. There you can see them squabbling now, weaving on the straight down the Mistral. Cappietto refusing to give up, and side by side once again, in comes Kamara, outside as well, heading in towards the Mistral chicane, leaving it late. Cappietto now under pressure here from Havercourt, as now they escape now into the second half of the Mistral. Amazing racing here in the closing stages of Paul Ricard, and they come together again, swapping route to the outside line now. Havercourt looks for it on Cappietto again, moving all over the place as he looks for an opening to try and challenge the RPM, but can't quite do it. Amazing stuff here between these talents now, and Kamara around the outside. Amazing stuff, and further back the MP Motorsport car getting into the mix. Megatune for Bernier, cars going off onto the curbs as well as they now look to use all the track. Marcus Amman coming straight back at them as well. Amazing scenes here as they cut through to the inside. Amman takes a very aggressive line, and the stewards might take a little look at that one. It looks like it might have been a little too aggressive onto that curb. I think track limits might have been looked at a bit too much, as now Belinsky comes under pressure this time, and now an MP Motorsport car securing a placement over him this time. That, of course, being Sami Megatune moving up ahead of Roman Belinsky in his Trident car. Helter-skelter in the previous lap. Belinsky once again goes looking, but this time having to relent in behind that of Megatune. Further back, you can also see Victor Bernier just watching all this unfold in front of him here. He might choose to make a move and take an opportunity. Belinsky still, though, refusing to give up. Of course, 2 minutes and 55 to go. Cappietto, who has been the Ministry of Defence here, the Minister of Defence, here in the closing stages of this lap, refusing to give any positions here, a point at stake. And naturally, Havercourt looked to have it home and hosed, really. But marshalling an expert defence there, and Alessandro Giusti also now fighting for fourth, well, certainly trying to fight, and I think losing out, in fact, to Santiago Ramos for that fifth place. So in fact, Ramos now getting the jump, and more points now going by the way of RPM Motorsport as they now cruise through turn 10. Fantastic effort there from Santiago Ramos. And Giusti now will have to relent and remain in sixth for now, but I'm sure he won't want to stay there for long. Yesterday's race winner, who was looking to come back and launch a charge against that green RPM car. There's Sten Sean representing the Ace GP team, of course, fourth place to his name, still leading the rookies race though at this point. Second place is Giusti still. He still hasn't lost out that place despite dropping one to Ramos. And there's Antonelli, who has not been perturbed, still leads the way. 14 laps concluded. Only a handful left to go now as Masson takes them through this next lap. It should be 2 laps remaining, obviously, now with this remaining lap. Generally 2 seconds a lap, 1 minute and 30 to go. And then we have the plus extra lap, so 2 laps left in this race. And Antonelli now marshalling in a superior gap of 2.9 seconds. Tramnitz now 4/10 in behind in third. He might yet challenge for second, which will be a fantastic performance for the RSGP team. It's a home race for them, as well as Esteban Masson. But Masson can certainly take a lot of solace in his performances this weekend as we see more fighting further back once again. This time Ramos defending against Alessandro Giusti. Fastest lap for Andrea Kimi Antonelli on that last run as well, a 2 minutes 6:88. Incredible stuff as now Ramos loses out to GST, who goes down the inside, makes the move as well, heading through the chicane on the outside of the Mistral. But Ramos will have a nice run though, heading out. You can just see GST going very defensive, immediately clambering over to the inside line, and Ramos now will come to the outside, heading through towards turn 10. He'll have the run, but will he have it executed? Not quite. GST still to the inside. They run over the curve there slightly, but Ramos doing very well to stay on. GST though, holding on to that inside line, heading through the Bousset, and that will consolidate that P5 place coming into Sector 3. A fantastic move from GST. And following on from that victory, another great collective of points, a grand collective of points now going by the way of G4 Racing. As we look further back and see how Joshua Dirksen's recovered, also towing along Maya Verk as well in this fight. The timer has ticked to 0, and we will start the final lap of this race. And it will be Andrea Kimi Antonelli at this point, who has done an absolutely sterling job here at this point, with Masson in second. There's GST, who's already managed to garner a little bit of deficit on that of Ramos, who's going to try perhaps and get in close before the Mistral straight. It's all coming down to this. A battle certainly on the podiums, is certainly on front as well. Tramnitz, who you can currently see on screen, trying to close on that of Esteban Masson. And a French team now chasing down a French driver as they hurtle through turn 7. The Santalot car of Esteban Masson, 3.2 seconds in behind that of Antonelli, who's checked out up at the front end. Tramnitz now hovering all over the rear. He's got the push to pass there at his disposal. Masson once again going defensive. Tim Tramnitz is now going to look for the move. Heads to the outside now as he looks to try and execute. Switches back through though as Masson now goes very ultra defensive on the outside of the chicane. We saw Ramos and Sully come under this amount of threat as well with GST previously. It's now the turn of Tim Tramnitz and Masson to do the same. Tramnitz trying to get into the slipstream. Second place up for grabs. Outside line now for Tramnitz as he looks to send it through towards the Bousset, looking to switch back down the inside. As they do so, still hovering down the inside is Masson. He is held position. Brilliant defense from the young Frenchman, and once again showing that he's got the stellar capability of fighting with this field, and a French F4 champion who's looking to add a P2 to his name. Tim Tramnitz though will certainly continue the onslaught in third place, but as they make their way through the final sector, what a showing from absolutely everybody out on this circuit. Andrea Kimi Antonelli though, the highlight figure as he was at Mugello. He's going to come out towards the line. A third race win for Andrea Kimi Antonelli. He wins here at Paul Ricard. It's Esteban Masson. He comes home in second. A first podium to his name this season as well, and to that of Santalot Racing. He will celebrate in style. Tim Tramnitz coming home in third, with Martinius Denshorn in fourth place, and across the line after a stellar defence, keeping back the relentless Kaz Havercourt. It's going to be a solitary point for Matteo Capietto and the RPM Racing team. What a clinic, what a sensational fight right through towards the bitter end. But it's Andrea Kimi Antonelli. He's your race winner here at Paul Ricard. Goodness me. Well, it certainly is never boring. Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine once again delivering. And with Masson also delivering Santalot a successful podium visit, it will certainly go down as one to remember as far as they're concerned. Tim Tramnitz in third, a third and fourth as well for RSGP in their home weekend here in race 2. Martinius Denshorn. This could throw up a very interesting complexion in terms of the championship fight. Of course, we will bring you the provisional results later on as well, folks. But yes, an incredible display. Credit to, as well, the other drivers. Joshua Dirksen in the points. Here are the provisional results from the race. Andrea Kimi Antonelli in first place. A third race win for the Italian. Esteban Masson in second, and a first podium for him too. Tim Tramnitz in third, Martinius Denshorn, rookie race winner, and fourth place for RSGP. Alessandro Giusti in fifth, following on from his win yesterday. Santiago Ramos in sixth, Joshua Dirksen in seventh, Maya Verk in eighth, with Owen Tangavellu in ninth, Matteo Capietto in 10th, Kaz Havercourt 11th, with Rafael Camara in 12th, Michael Belov in 13th, Sami Megatunov in 14th, with Marcus Amand in 15th place. Fastest lap, of course, accrued by that of Andrea Kimi Antonelli of a 2:00.688. The next half of the leaderboard, we've got Marcus Amand in 15th, Roman Belinsky 16th, Victor Bernier 17th, Kirill Small in 18th, Matthias Agazetta 19th, Tom Levin 20th, Joshua Dufek 21st, Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. 22nd, Lucas Medina in 23rd, Enzo Scianti 24th, Giovanni Maschio in 25th, Niels Kuhlen as well further down. Looking at the tail end of the order, Lawrence Van Hoopen in 29th. And then, of course, we had other cars finishing towards the tail end of the field. A couple of losses as well through the course of this race. But Andrea Kimi Antonelli, he is a race winner. A stellar showing once again from the young man from Italy as he looks to try and garner any advantage possible in his battle for the title. And hits the P1 board, much like he did crossing the start-finish line as well, in great style. He will enjoy that one. A statement here as well, as he removes the steering wheel from the cockpit of the car. He will celebrate here at Paul Ricard. It's Andrea Kimi Antonelli. A fantastic result here for the Prema driver.
Steven!
A third race win. And a 7th podium as well to add to his locker. And also a 4th fastest lap. He's had 3 pole positions this season too. And Esteban Masson, the understandable celebrations as Santa Lock take a very vital podium. Esteban Masson with his first of the season. They've got every reason to be thrilled and delighted. Kimi debriefing as well with the Prema team.
Wait.
It's very warm out there on the track at Le Castellet. We have had, certainly on the south coast, lots of sunshine, barely any cloud cover, which has led obviously to us seeing the conditions we have had, and incredible moments throughout that race as well. Martini Stenchon finishing 4th. Like I said, still claiming the rookie race win as they get ushered now up towards the podium. We'll see them take to the top step. We will take you, though, through the highlights of the race. It was a great start for Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Not so good, though, for Kaz Havercourt. And I think Lorenzo Flusha as well getting caught off the start-finish line, heading down towards turn 1, though. Esteban Masson, despite getting a good getaway, wasn't enough to get past Antonelli. But many of the cars, though, fighting it out on track, looking for positions earlier on. We saw, obviously, Lorenzo Flusha fighting it out. Camara was also looking to try and make some places. He had a very tricky start as well. Unfortunately, Flusha, as we saw earlier on, would also come into the pits. We lost Levente Ravesh as well. He also came into the pits with his own struggles, that being the car number 11, representing the Arden team. Though making their way through this circuit of Paul Ricard, many teams chopping and changing. It was heartbreak indeed for that of Ivan Klemenko, the 23 Kick Motorsport car, coming in to replace that of Alexander Partyshev, unfortunately stopping out on the track. There was big tie-ups as well. Lorenzo Flusha also coming together. This is what would lead to his trip into the pit lane. After coming together with Nikhil Bora, he would have to come and have that looked at. Lawrence Van Hoopen sent it up the inside of Joshua Dirksen as well. A tremendous overtake that looked to be executed superbly, but they came together down the straight. Charlie Wirtz, unfortunately getting usurped by a Santalok car, making his way off the track and unfortunately hindering his performance this weekend. The fire erupting as well further back. That was something we did miss. But coming across the line, Antonelli, Andrea Kimi Antonelli with a 3rd race win this season. Esteban Masson with his first podium, and an important first podium for Santalok Racing. And the celebrations certainly were justifiable of that too. Tim Tramnitz also laying claim to a podium in this round as well. Well, now we have the podium celebrations here. And taking the top step will be this man, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, the young Italian who, since joining this championship off the back of a stellar race record, already showing his capabilities in the Formula Original Middle Eastern Championship, becoming its champion, also winning in Italian GT. Tim Tramnitz in 3rd as well. Of course, we also saw Esteban Masson finishing 2nd.
Come to time for the podium right now.
And here come the podium drivers after another superb Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine race. And Tim Tramnitz will take the third step of the podium and continues his efforts for his team at R-Race GP. Yet more points going to them as well. Came into the weekend with 5 podiums to his name, as well as the 2 wins he scored at Barcelona. Esteban Masson, for the first time this season, and for Santalok, second on the podium. Andrea Kimi Antonelli taking the top step once again for the 3rd time this season.
And the rookie, Stenshorn Martinius.
And we have Martinius Stenshorn, the rookie championship leader, now a rookie race winner in race 2 at Paul Ricard. And he'll treasure that one as well, furthering the gap between himself and Maya Verk. We now have the trophies as well being handed out by the Pirelli Motorsport manager. Tim Tramnitz receives his 3rd place trophy. 2nd place trophy going to Esteban Masson, who I'm sure will treasure that one, as will Santalok. Much delight and a very big grin on the face of the Frenchman. And Andrea Kimi Antonelli receives the 1st place trophy. The championship is in sight, but the man on the far right is going to try and stop him. The Prema team also celebrate a team's race win as well, and the rookie trophy being handed to fellow championship contender, overall championship contender, Martinius Stenshorn.
And now, ladies and gentlemen,
and we'll have the Italian national anthem.
From Italy. Well, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, a race winner here once again, and he will look to prosaically rise now through the championship. Join us next time, folks, where we will be going racing from Red Bull Ring. We'll see you then. Take care. Goodbye.